Most High, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, by Shem Akakwadash. And double honor to the apostles and elders. Great millstone for teaching this truth is going all around the earth. And shalom to the hopeful elect out there, wherever you may be. All right, this is your brother Atazawan from the Great Millstone here in St. Louis. And we're going to dive into a quick lesson based on that news clip that we had in the front concerning the chariots of the Lord, all right, that flew over the Capitol recently. Okay, and here I have a quick article. We'll jump around in it a little bit because really a picture speaks 1,000 words, right? So we saw the film footage, all right, and here from Daily Mail, they have a brief summary of what we saw in the film. Okay, and it says here, mysterious lights over Capitol Hill sparks fears of UFOs in Washington, D.C. Now, of course, those of us who are in this truth, we understand that these are the chariots of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, which is spoken of all throughout the scriptures, right? But Esau Edom, being the wicked that he is, always have to put some spookism in there, always has to try to throw the people off, all right, with some nonsense, okay? And they know directly what's going on and what these are, right, in the skies, okay? So let's just quickly run through this. Salaki, it says, what an ominous quartet of gleaming lights above the United States Capitol building have left some afraid the alien invasion has finally arrived. And they know it's not any aliens. Like, there's no big head, big eyed green monsters inside of these vessels, okay? They know full well what's going on, okay? It goes on to say the photo, Salaki, let me see if I can highlight it. The photo taken at night just outside Congress with the dome of Capitol Hill in full view was taken by U.S. Air Force veteran Dennis Diggins, who now works as a licensed tour guide in Washington, D.C. area, as well as a professional traveling director. The eerie triangular formation, and I believe it was more than 3, right, according to that film we looked at, all right? The eerie triangular formation of lights that Diggins captured in his photo seems to hover just feet above the Statue of Freedom at the top of the Capitol Dome. And that would be apropos, you know, for freedom, right? Because the Israelites are going to be released. Those that repent are going to be released from their captivity here in Babylon the Great, all right, with the coming of our Lord. And it goes on to say that's absolutely insane. One spectator said of the strange glowing orbs, which looked like landing lights on some otherworldly craft. The image comes just weeks after a pair of stunning public hearings in both the U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives, where lawmakers probed current and retired Pentagon officials over the state of intelligence on what used to be called flying saucers. See, they had all kind of crazy names for it, but we know it again through really the reading and the teaching, shall I say, the teaching of our apostles here at Great Millstone, who through the Spirit taught us what the scriptures say and what is really being referred to in certain points of the scriptures concerning chariots, right? Of course, there were literal chariots back in the day, okay, that were pulled by horses and so on, but also, you know, chariots of the Lord that actually fly, all right? Going on, it says the House's hearing included a first look at a bizarre, unsettling report alleging that an illegal, unacknowledged special access program named Immaculate Constellation has been set up to detect, quarantine, and transfer UFO data away from public view. See, and they've always had these types of councils, if you will, where they hid information from the general public. Okay. So it doesn't matter what kind of name they stick to it. Each generation, they just change the name. Going on, it says, but while some were clamoring for video that might link this new sighting to the wilder UFO debate on the Hill, others pushed back on the speculative furor over these strange lights. Salaki. All right. And so here you have where you had a still picture of it. This thing is just doing all kind of craziness. All right. So anyway, let's go ahead and get to the scriptures. All right. For this thing bug out on me. This is Ezekiel 1, and let's go up to verse 3. And it reads, Salakia, trying to figure out why this thing just acting a fool here on me. Anyway, I don't know what the heck is going on here. Make sure it's still recording. All right, so going on, let's look at Ezekiel 1 and 3. Salakia for that. My screen just dim now. I don't know why. Ezekiel 1 and 3, and it reads, the word of the Lord Yahweh came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chabar. And the hand of the Lord Yahweh was there upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, a whirlwind, all right? Something that really takes things up. You've seen a whirlwind before, almost like you would say a tornado. Okay, it's sort of like a whirlwind, all right? And so this cloud is a ship, okay? And the fire enfolded itself, and the brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof was the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. And everyone had 4 faces, and everyone had 4 wings. And their feet were straight feet. Salakia. And the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot. And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. Okay, which means that they were brown skinned, right? Burnished brass. So they wasn't no white, little fat, curly haired babies like they like to tell you angels are. Okay. Going on verse 8, it says, and they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went. They went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their face, they 4 had the face of a man and the face of a lion on the right side, and they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side. They 4 also had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. All right, so almost like they were all together, okay? And having a different face on all 4 sides. Verse 12, and they went every one straight forward. Whither the spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. it went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning, describing the ships, see? And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now, as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with their four faces. The appearance of the wheel and their work was like unto the color of a beryl, which is like a green. And they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. When they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. As for their rings, right? Because depending on the ship, because we've seen what? Different kinds, right? A variety of different shapes and kinds, okay? Therefore, as for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes round about them four. Okay, so you can see that these rings have, they're different, I guess you would say, parts of the ship or apparatus, that are a roundabout, if you will, like 360. Okay, the ship may be round, but then there's rings within it. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. When those went, these went, and when those stood, these stood, and when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels, right? In other words, this thing was able to fly, all right, with the angels. And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creatures were as the color of the terrible crystal stretched forth over their heads above, and under the firmament were their wings straight, the one towards the other. Everyone had two, which covered on this side, and everyone had two, which covered on that side, their bodies. And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings, like the noise of great waters, and the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech, as the noise of an host. When they stood, they let down their wings. Right, so he's seeing a vision, and the vision is loud. Okay, like the Most High speaking. Okay, and there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood and had let down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above it. So he's seeing in a vision with these angels and their spaceship. He sees a vision of, you could say, the Most High, all right? And I saw as the color of amber, and the appearance of fire round about within it, from the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward. I saw as it were the appearance of fire. And like the scriptures say, the Lord is a consuming fire. See? And it had brightness round about it, as the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain. So it's almost like the vision had, how would you say it? A majesty or majestic, because he sees like a rainbow. All right. So was the appearance of the brightness round about. That was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard the voice of one that spake. So he heard the Lord and saw a vision of the glory of the Lord. Okay. But the whole point, as we're talking about, is the chariots, and that the chariots do exist, and that the angels travel in it. All right. Salaki. Let's go back. I think I want to get this. So we go over to the next chapter. And we'll read Ezekiel 2, all right? Because this is why he had the vision, or this is why the angels appeared with the chariot and came to see Ezekiel, right? And as you see here, it says the prophet's call, all right? So this was the whole purpose of them coming to see him, right? And giving him that vision, okay? So this is Ezekiel 2:1, and it reads, "And he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto thee. And the Spirit entered into me when he spake unto me, and set me upon my feet, that I heard him that spake unto me. And he said unto me, Son of man, I send thee to the children of Israel, to a rebellious nation that have rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me, even unto this very day. For they are impudent children and stiff-hearted. I do send thee unto them, and thou shalt say unto them, Thus saith the Lord power. And they, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are a rebellious house, yet shall know that there had been a prophet among them." You see, so the Lord is sending him, preparing him for his mission, okay? Sending Ezekiel. Verse 6, "And thou, son of man, be not afraid of them, neither be afraid of their words. Though briars and thorns be with thee, and thou dost dwell among scorpions, be not afraid of their words, nor be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house." And that's like us standing on highways and hedges now. You know, everybody's a tough guy. You know, everybody wants to know this, wants to know that. And then when you tell them the truth, they don't like it. They fan their hands, they walk away, whatever. You see? Verse 7, "And thou shalt speak my words unto them, whether they will hear, whether they will forbear, for they are most rebellious. But thou, O son of man, hear what I say unto thee. Be not thou rebellious like the rebellious house. Open thy mouth and eat that I give thee. And when I looked, behold, and hand was sent unto me, and lo, a roll of a book was therein, Salakia, and he spread it before me, and it was written therein and thereout, Salakia, written within and without, and there was written therein lamentations, mournings, and woes," right? And that's the scriptures, okay? Because this bitterness of the scriptures, as we always go into, or as the scriptures say, is sweet, you know, like honey to the belly, but then when it gets in the belly, or it turns bitter, okay? So a prophet has a hard job, okay, because he's here to bring the warning, he's here to bring the news, and it's not always good news, okay? So the prophet's job is to warn. Let's go over here to Zechariah, and we'll start right here of the flying roll, okay? "Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll, which you could say is a chariot, okay, which you seen in that clip and from the news article, okay? And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off, as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off, as on that side according to it. And I will bring it forth, says the Lord Yahweh of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief. And Esau, Edom, is the thief. Okay? All right, for all the wickedness that they have done in the earth, and they can't get away from it. Okay? And into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name. Right, in God we trust. Isn't that on their money? Right? Supposedly a foundation of quote-unquote Christianity here in America. It's all lies and robbery. And it shall remain in the midst of the house and shall consume it. When you consume something, what do you do with it? It's taken away fully. With the timber thereof and the stone thereof. Okay? So the warnings have gone out. And now you got these people, now they freaking out over it. Now we'll get an example here of Elijah and Elisha. And let's see here. Let's start here, 2 Kings. We can start at the top. 2 Kings 2:1. And it reads, and it came to pass when the Lord would take up, as you see right there, take up, right? Take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind. That whirlwind again, a chariot, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal. And Elijah said unto Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord has sent me to Bethel. And Elisha said unto him, as the Lord Yahweh liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they went down to Bethel. And the sons of the prophets that were at Bethel came forth to Elisha and said unto him, knowest thou that the Lord will take away thy master from thy head today? And he said, yea, I know it, hold ye your peace. And Elijah said unto him, Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord has sent me to Jericho. And he said, as the Lord liveth, and as my soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they, came to Jericho. So Elisha wouldn't leave him. And the sons of the prophets that were at Jericho came to Elisha and said unto him, knowest thou that the Lord will take away thy master from thy head today? And he answered, yea, I know it, hold your peace. Or hold ye your peace. And Elijah said unto him, tarry, I pray thee here, for the Lord has sent me to Jordan. And he said, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And they two went on. And 50 men of the sons of the prophets went and stood to view afar off. And they two stood by Jordan. And Elijah took his mantle and wrapped it together and smote the waters. And they were divided hither and thither, so that they two went over on dry ground. And it came to pass when they were gone over that Elijah said unto Elisha, ask what I shall do for thee before I be taken away from thee. And Elisha said, I pray thee that a double portion of thy spirit be upon me. And he said, thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if thou see me when I am taken from thee, it shall be so unto thee. But if not, it shall not be so. Then it came to pass as they went on to talk, Salakia, and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire. You see it? And horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elisha went up by a whirlwind into the heaven. Salakia. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven, and Elisha saw it. And he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more, and he took hold of his own clothes and rent them into two pieces. And he took up also the mantle of Elijah that fell from him. And a mantle, if I'm not mistaken, is like a covering or a cape, if you will. All right. He took up also the mantle of Elijah that fell from him and went back and stood by the bank of Jordan. And he took the mantle of Elijah that fell from him and smote the waters and said, where is the Lord Yahweh power of Elijah? And when he also had smitten the waters, they parted hither and thither, and Elisha went over. So you see, the chariots have always been in the scriptures, all right? It's a real thing, okay? And these devils need to be afraid, okay? So as Elisha was, quote, unquote, taken up, we also saw that very same thing with Yahweh Shai. Okay, and we'll read it here in the book of Acts. This is Acts chapter 1 and verse 1. It says, the former treaties have I made, O Theophilus, of all that Yahweh begat, both to do and teach, until the day in which he was taken up. After that he, through the Holy Spirit, had given commandment unto the apostles whom he had chosen, to whom also he showed himself alive after his passion by many infallible proofs, being seen of them 40 days, and speaking of the things pertaining to the kingdom of the Most High. And being assembled together with them, commanded them that they should not depart from Jerusalem, but wait for the promise of the Father, which say he, ye have heard of me. For John truly baptized with water, but ye shall be baptized with the Holy Spirit not many days hence. And when they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? So the apostles or the disciples at this time wanted to know if they were going to be, if Israel was going to go back into power, right? Because they were still being oppressed by these same devils that's oppressing us today, right? The Roman Empire, that dragon, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. All right. Verse 7, and he said unto them, it is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power, but ye shall receive power after that the Holy Spirit is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria and unto the uttermost part of the earth. And here's a clue. What is the uttermost part of the earth? The Americas. Okay, because they were in the known world at the time, right? They knew about Jerusalem. They knew about, obviously, right? And then Egypt, and then Arabia, and Asia Minor, and Asia, okay? They knew about all these different places, but they didn't know anything about what was on this side, okay? So we would go into what? The uttermost part of the earth, right? And in this day and age, we're witnesses of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Now going on to verse 9, it says, and when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, just like you saw with Elijah. He was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. See? And while they looked steadfastly towards heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which are two angels, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushua, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. Right? So the Lord is going to return on his chariot. Okay? It's real simple. But when you listen to these people of the world, you know, and they put this spookism, okay, into so-called UAPs, UFOs, and so on, okay, aerial phenomenons and so on, they know it's the chariots of the Lord. It's Matthew 24:29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And what's that sign? And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Right. He's going to have his own chariot, and then he's going to have a host of heaven. All right. The army of heaven that's going to fight for the elect of the Lord. Right. And begin to dismantle and destroy this place. Okay. Esau knows that his kingdom is going down and can't do anything about it. But he wants to fight a good fight. Okay, because the Lord actually is going to put the spirit on them to fight. All right. These devils came up with a sixth branch of the military known as the Space Force. Okay. Verse 31, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect. See, it's the elect of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other, right? Because there's the scattered elect all over the earth. And these chariots are going to go around. There's going to be so many of them, okay, covering the skies, right? And Lord willing, we be of that number, because it's a big number. Those of the elect will be taken up, okay, and moved out of the way before the destruction. Verse 32, now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leave, ye know that the summer is nigh. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the door. Right. So when these chariots are showing up, when they're showing themselves, then know that everything, right, is at the door. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. Right. So the prophecies of the Lord is not the earth still here? Sure it is. Okay. All right. So these words are going to come to pass. Okay. Now let's get 2nd Ezra 13. And I think I'm going to end up having to read a lot of this, if not all of it. I think. Yeah, let's start at verse 1. Yeah. All right, this is 2nd Ezra 13:1. It reads, and it came to pass after 7 days I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea that it moved all the ways thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the clouds of heaven, Salaki, with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned and heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graven himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. But I would have seen the region of the place where out the hill was graven, and I could not. Right? This goes into the size, the humongous size of the chariot that the Lord Yahushua has. That's what it's going into. Okay? And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, and yet durst fight. Right? So during that time period, Armageddon, everything breaking loose, nation fighting against nation, when they see, as they would say, right, the invasion, the alien invasion, as they would say, right, which would be Yahushua and the host of heaven, they're going to turn to try to fight them instead of fighting each other. Okay? That war in heaven, if you will. All right? Verse 9, and lo, as I saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. Right? So it's laser beams, Salakia. Y'all gotta forgive me. This, sometimes these electronic things, they just do whatever they want. Verse 11, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up, every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. You see, so the Lord is going to fight, right? And these lasers are going to come shooting out of that ship, okay, and burn everything and everybody up. All right, so let's go on. Verse 12, it says, afterward I saw the same man come down from the mountain and call unto him another peaceable multitude. And there came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, some were sorry, and some of them were bound, and others saw brought of them that were offered. Then Then was I sick through great fear, and I awaked and said, Thou hast showed thy servant these wonders from the beginning, and hast counted me worthy that thou shouldest receive my prayer. Show me now yet the interpretation of the dream. So Ezra is talking to the angel coming out of the vision, okay? And he goes on to say, for as I conceived in my understanding, woe unto them that shall be left in those days, and much more woe unto them that are not left behind. For they that were not left were in heaviness. Now understand I the things that are laid up in the latter days. See, and we're in the latter days. We're in the last of the last days, right? That there'll be war and great death, right? But at the same time, there's going to be salvation, that peaceable multitude, see, which shall happen unto them and to those that are left behind. Therefore are they coming to great perils and many necessities, like as these dreams declare. Yet is it easier for him that is in danger to come into these things than to pass away as a cloud out of the world, and not to see the things that happen in the last days. And he answered unto me and said, the angel did, the interpretation of the vision which I showed thee, and I will open unto thee the thing that thou hast required. Whereas thou hast spoken of them that were left behind, this is the interpretation. He that shall endure the peril in that time hath kept himself. They that be fallen into danger are such as have works and faith towards the Almighty. Know this, therefore, that they which be left behind are more blessed than they that be dead, right? Because, if we make it through these said perils, right, then we get to see the glory of our Lord and experience our salvation. We get to change into immortal bodies, right? We get to ride in the chariot, see? This is the meaning of the vision, whereas thou sawest a man coming up from the midst of the sea. The same is he whom Yahweh, the highest, hath kept a great season, which by his own self shall deliver his creature, and he shall order them that are left behind. And whereas thou sawest that out of his mouth there came as a blast of wind and fire and storm, and that he held neither sword nor any instrument of war, but that the rushing in of him destroyed the whole multitude that came to subdue him. This is the interpretation. Okay? Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth. See? And that's his elect. And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the sign shall happen when I show thee before, and then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending, right? The Son of the Most High, Yahweh Shai. That's what we saw in the vision, riding upon the mountain. All right. Going on a little bit further, it says, an innumerable multitude should be gathered together as thou sawest them, willing to come and to overcome him by fighting, but he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion, and Zion shall call, Salakish, and Zion shall come, and shall be showed to all men, being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill graven with our hands. Right? So every eye shall see him. And this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, right? And the destruction of all weaponry, right? By the Most High. Okay? Whether it be atom bombs, nuclear bombs, planes, battleships, whatever. Verse 38, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto the flame, and he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto me. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Oshea the king, whom Salmanasseh the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. That another land is over here in the Western Hemisphere, known as the Americas, right? North America, South America, Central America, and so on. Brazil, the Caribbean. Okay, these are the 10 tribes. Okay, going on, it says, but they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. Right, coming over here to the Americas, that they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land, and they enter into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. See, and what, this is somewhat of a stumbling block to Jake too, because Jake believed that, all right, that the Most High helped Moses and the children of Israel, right? And he split the Red Sea, as they call it, the Reed Sea, but they say Red Sea. But anyway, they believe that. But then when we talk about how the 10 tribes came over here, as you're reading it right here, people just have a hard time believing that. How did they travel all the way over here from their own land? Nothing is impossible with Yahweh Shai. See? Going on, it says, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Al-Sarath. All right, and it took a year and a half for them to get over here. Then dwelt they until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come, the high shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude with peace. But those that be left behind of thy people are they that are found within my borders. Now when he destroyeth the multitude of the nations that are gathered together, he shall defend his people that remain. And then shall he show them great wonders. Then said I, O Lord that bearest rule, show me this. Wherefore have I seen the man coming up from the midst of the sea? And he said unto me, like as thou canst never seek out nor know the things that are in the depth of the sea, even so can no man upon earth see my son or those that be with him, but in the daytime, right, in this wisdom and in this knowledge. This is the interpretation of the dream which thou sawest, and whereby thou art here lightened, right? Gave him some understanding and wisdom of what he saw. See, for thou hast forsaken thine own way and applied thy diligence unto my law and sought it. Thy life hast thou ordered in wisdom, and hast called understanding thy mother. And therefore have I showed thee the treasure of the highest. After other 3 days I will speak other things unto thee, and declare unto thee mighty and wondrous things, right? Then went I forth into the field, giving praise and thanks greatly unto the Most High, because of his wonders which he did in time, and because he governeth the same, so and such things as fall in their seasons. And there I sat 3 days, right? So he went into the field for 3 days and was visited by the angel again. All right, but you see how Yahweh Shai is going to return with his chariot, all right, and the host of heaven, and going to destroy these people when they try to fight them. Okay, this is Revelation 19. All right, and we see somewhat of the same depiction here in Revelation 19:11. And I saw, this is John the Revelator, and I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness doeth judge and make war. You see? So that white horse is his chariot, and a horse represents power. Okay? His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, because he's going to take down every kingdom that is upon the earth. And he had a name written that no man knew but himself, which is his ranking. Right? Because we know his name, Yahweh Shai. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of the Most High, or Yahweh. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean, right? So they're coming in their chariots with power. You see? Just as we read right there in Esdras. Going on, And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, right? That's that what you saw in that we just read in Esdras, Esdras, second Esdras. They said he didn't lift up any instrument of war, right? But he destroyed them. That sword, that laser that comes out of his ship. All right, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treadeth the wine press of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty Yahweh. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh name written King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great power, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. Right. You just read that in 2nd Esdras, right? Going on here to verse 20, it says, and the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them, and had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped its image. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone, right? And that's that utter destruction, right? For the system, for NATO, for the EU, for the dragon, right? For Esau, Edom, okay? This false prophet church, okay? And their fake false religion, you see? All to be burned up, okay? Verse 21, and the remnant were slain, and the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowl were filled with their flesh, right? Meaning that all destruction has come, and this place anyway is going to be a place for desert creatures, right? All right. So the point being, again, of the chariots. All right. So let's jump over here to 2nd Esdras chapter 6. And I almost had to start at the top on all these. All right, let's just get to it. All right, we'll start here at verse 1. 2nd Esdras chapter 6, verse 1, it reads, and he said unto me, in the beginning, when the earth was made, before the border of the world stood, or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightened, or ever the foundation of paradise was laid, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, or ever the chimneys in Zion were hot, and ere the present years were sought out, and or ever the inventions of them that now sin were turned, before they were sealed, that they that have gathered faith for a treasure, then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone, right? So everything that was ever made, there was nothing made that wasn't made by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, okay? And through none other, right? So nobody else made it. That includes everything. You know, all the planets, the universe, whatever you want to call it, the earth and all things therein, right, belongeth to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. All right. Then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they shall be ended, and by no other, right? So even as this age comes to a close, right, known as your world, okay, the Lord is the one that's ending this as well, in which he will begin the new world, the kingdom of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua upon the earth. See? Verse 7, then answered I and said, what shall be the part of the son of the times, and when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, right? And Esau is the white man who's ruling right now. And Jacob, we are Jacob, right? And our world is getting ready to come in, okay? And this world is literally going to go out with a bang, okay? Verse 10, the hand of the man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Other question Ezra asked thou not. I answered then and said, O Lord that beareth rule, if I have found favor in thy sight, I beseech thee, show thy servant the end of thy tokens, whereof thou showest me part the last night. So he answered and said unto me, stand up upon thy feet and hear a mighty sound and voice, and it shall be as it were a great motion, but the place where thou standest shall not be moved, right? So he put him in another vision, right? And therefore, when it speaketh, be not afraid, for the word is of the end, and the foundation of the earth is understood. And why? Because the speech of these things tremble and is moved, for it knoweth that the end of these things must be changed. And it happened, and when I had heard it, I stood up upon my feet and hearkened, and behold, there was a voice that spake, and the sound of it was like the sound of many waters, right? Somewhat like what we read about in Ezekiel, okay? And it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. The book shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. The women with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Right? So these are the conditions of the times of the end, where things will begin to be very, very difficult, right? The perils, the evil days. Whosoever remaineth from all these I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation and the end of your world. And the men that will receive shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth, and the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed and turned into another meaning. For evils shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which had been so long without fruit, shall be declared. And we'll stop right there. That's good enough. We've gone on long enough. But you get the point, all right? Lord willing, that the chariots are real, and that's our deliverance. All right, there's going to be an end to this known modern world run by Esau, Edom, all right, which is filled with wickedness, death, destruction, lies, robbery, murder, okay? And the kingdom of righteousness is on its way, all right? And they're scared, and they're running, and they don't know what to do, all right? So, hey, all praises to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, all right? So we just got to stay up, all right? Everything is going to work out just fine, all right? So there's nothing to fear, okay? Because the Lord didn't give us the spirit of fear. But these people of the world, they starting to get shook, you see? So stand in your faith, right? And pray that the Lord deliver us real soon. With that, I'll end the lesson. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Shalom.